I know technically this is technically special 5, but technically it's sort of a Christmas special. So yeah, we're back into let's see if I get cursed today. Will I find that I have lost all my money? I don't know. But the one thing I want to talk about before I talk about the review is I know Shooty Gatwick has, I think, a interesting reputation. Because I know there's some people who like him, like me, and there's some people who don't. And I'm not naming names. Like you over there. You know what you did. Anyway. But I find him okay. I find him, like, fine. I find him good. I like it. Well, I have actually said this. He's my favorite Doctor now. Even more than my first Doctor, Matt Smith. And legitimately is really interesting. So, I know, like, a lot of people say he's a bit too emotional. I don't mind. Because I've dealt with, like... Because you have these different things. Like, you have this more colder until later on in the season. With the first Doctor. Matt Smith did a bit of a like, ooh, I'm just going to be this. But still has its darker sides. David Tennant. Matt Smith was a bit of a kooky one. And then you had Peter Capaldi, who was the dark, like really, like, cold, and, like, did not give a shit. And then you had, why do I always remember her name? Forget her name. Jodie Whittaker, which, yes, I did do a search. I'm not complaining. Also has some great things, which I like. With her having a really interesting story with her companions. And also mystery. But I like Shooty Gatwick for what it is, a really fun, like, interesting version of the Doctor. And I like him. I know most of that is about who he is and a thing, but I just want to say that he is my favourite Doctor. So if you want to take that as bias, fine. I don't, but sure. Now, spoilers! Yes, I know the first point wasn't really non-spoilers, but I just wanted to say that first. I love this. The idea about a literal... Because I can't talk about this without talking about spoilers. So, unless you want to hear a couple of seconds on how I like their acting, which... you have a hotel that goes anywhere in time is cool. The idea that it's like Christmas on all sides is also cool. The whole thing about analysing a person of what they need is cool. Let's talk about... Okay, let me just finish off the rambling. And then it's like, the idea of one trying to make a star is cool. The AI briefcase with hypnosis is cool. Also, I love that some people complain the idea that it's a bit, like, weird because they might not know that it works. It is an experiment, and you can also say that you have dealt with, like, similar things before. So it might be like, this could be similar enough that you could be like, yeah, I see this being, like, good. Like, oh, I've seen stuff similar to this. That, like... I'm like, okay, this is, like, this could work. And it's, if I don't do it, I die. If I do it, I die. I could die, but I could not die. So it is a worth risk. I also like the idea that you have a whole loop and you actually see both sides of the loop and it looks different. And I really like the idea that, like, the loop you see from both perspectives, and I find it really interesting. Because you see this one loop being like, you have to say it, you have to finish the loop. That's how we get the code. It's like, how do we get the code? It's like, and it's like he's being mysterious and like, you know, that's a move. And then you realize why? Because he has to do this. He has to learn through this 1 year. And I love that idea that he learns and he's like, oh yeah, I can't not do this at the moment because this, I need this. Technically, it is a fun idea that it's like, okay, it's something that I need to sort of become better, right? So becoming like better as a doctor, and I love the two perspectives. Ooh, hit. I know the one thing I don't get, the one thing I don't really care about, because I don't mind CG, besides if it's like really bad, like I kind of get it. But a lot of people like look at, there's a scene where like he's hurling an anchor above his head. And I'm going to be completely honest. Yes, it looks, if you look at it, it's not perfect. But for what it is, it's fine. And I don't really mind it so much. But overall, I do, because there's one person, because I was watching is it worth it or is it stupid, that like one YouTuber does about, I'm like, and then he does this thing about is it trash? I don't know what the YouTuber's name is fully off the top of my head, and I don't want to look at it. And it's like that point, I'm like, it's fine for what it is. He also commented about like adding there's a scene about being like love letters, and it's like that feels a bit forced. It's not. I just think it's a try and do a joke. It's not as good as I feel like, because the joke's like I think you should dump him. That letter is awful. I wrote it. Oh, but I think you would love it so much. And it's like she. It's like at least. It's good. It's representation, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with a joke not being as great if it's like representation. Yay. Also, I just like the first part being like, I think you should dump it. This letter is terrible. I wrote it. Never mind it. It's the idea that like he's getting the situation a bit confused, and I'm fine with like the whole point is just he got the situation confused and he's just flustering, and that's why I was like. That's why it's sort of like, I think the next line is like her, and then it's like, well, I need to leave. And it has that stuff. I also like the idea that the rooms he goes to, he comes back and sees. And then later on when they're doing the star scene, they come back. Also like the idea of a joy, which I think is sort of a North Star, has this sort of like star thing, and it's really fun. It's really interesting, and I think it's just really clever overall. Having the North Star being like bringing joy and hope, and everyone goes to it, and it's a really fun idea. I also find it somewhat sad. I know the whole point of that, it looks like a video, but debatably, they're not. I don't think they were going to do the video thing with like making an actual video. I get it, but there's a whole thing where it's like, they were doing a Zoom call, and it looks like a perfect video. I will fully critique that kind of looks stupid. But overall, I'm fine with that. So like it, if you believe in something, it's like, yeah, that's a video. It's like yeah, it's a video. And I was like, oh, I can believe that's a video, and move on. Doesn't look like one, but that's besides the point. But I do think it's really fun. It is a really creative idea, and I do really think it's enjoyable. I do 100% recommend for you to watch. So yeah, this is long. But overall, besides me sometimes getting distracted by my app currently doing something, and the story being actually pretty fun and entertaining, because some of the Christmas episodes aren't as good and aren't as bad. My personal favorite one is Across the Past, Present, and Future. Love that one, legitimately. I also like the one about going to sleep, because that is terrifying. Like waking up being like, doing my job, and then I was like, wait, this is a dream, and it's eating me alive. I know it's like there's a couple of parts that are not written well, but I like it. I like it. It's weird, it's fun, I love it. So yeah, I think you should 100% watch it. BBC in the UK, Disney in, I think, anywhere else, I don't know. So I hope you enjoyed this long ass video, and good night.